and welcome to this month's episode of Senior Travel Adventures. I'm so happy to always be able to share my travels and the travels of others with you each month. This month, I'm going to finish with part 2 of Italy, focused on Tuscany and Florence. When you think of Tuscany, images of rolling hills dotted with cypress trees, medieval villages perched on hilltops, and glasses of rich Chianti wine likely come to mind. But nothing prepares you for the reality of experiencing this magical region firsthand. My Gourmet Tuscany tour was the perfect way to enjoy this part of Italy. After taking the train from Bologna to Florence, I continued on to Montecatini, one of the many towns that make up the Tuscany region of Italy. This tiny star is where it is located on the map. It makes it a great base to do a lot of day trips. As I walked from the train station to the hotel, this carousel was right off the main square and a bright way to welcome me. This is a stock photo of the hotel for our tour group. It's the Hotel Centenale Esplanade, and it looked better on the outside than the inside. You can see where my room was from the arrow. A side view showing the hotel and another building nearby. There were several like this, but they weren't the ones that are for sale in Italy for €1 that you hear about on the news. Our first evening we dined nearby, and it was fantastic. From carbonara to duck ravioli to beef cheeks and more, no one went hungry. Delicious Libertine restaurant. Montecatini boasts a rich history tied to its mineral-rich thermal waters. While the therapeutic properties of the waters were known since Roman times, the town's development as a spa truly took off in the 18th and 19th centuries, particularly under the Grand Duke of Tuscany, Leopold. It became a destination for people to come for healing. This led to the construction of public baths and the town's recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Although no longer operational, you can still tour the grounds and drink the mineral water for a small fee. Nearby, there's a large green area and a tennis club. It was really quite beautiful to walk around. Another spot that we enjoyed near our hotel was called Gambrinus. It had a large outdoor seating area and live music. The pizza was delicious. However, the pizza in the middle was a result of us not being able to read the menu in Italian, as it has hot dogs and French fries on it. Well, it was better than it looked. As we walked back to our hotel, though, which was just a few blocks away, we were very excited to happen upon a celebrity. Not sure why he was there, but walking right on the sidewalk next to us was Bono from U2. So Montecatini is actually 2 towns. We were staying in Terme, which is the main area, but we also wanted to visit Alto, which dates back to medieval times, and long before Terme became into existence. So in order to visit, you can take the funicular, which began in 1898. It was quite fun. The gentle ascent through the olive groves and the Mediterranean gardens offered breathtaking panoramic views of the Tuscan countryside. The funicular ride itself was a journey through time, reminding us that sometimes the most memorable travel are found in the simple pleasure of a slow, scenic climb. At the summit, the village of Montecatini Alto felt like a secret world, with narrow stone streets, century-old church, and a spectacular vista that stretched far beyond the horizon. And this lovely restaurant, Giovanni, where I enjoyed their Hugo Spritz at aperitivo hour, which always comes with some snacks. But the owner was really funny. He found out I was making this show, and he moved the napkin holder with the name of the restaurant in view so he could get some publicity. So, Giovannini, here you go. It turns out that Easter Monday is a holiday in Italy, so our group headed out to the legendary Chianti Valley, cradled between Florence and Siena, like a gem. This isn't just any wine region. It's been celebrated for exceptional wine since the 13th century. Our first stop was the town of Grive. We arrived during their once-a-year, day after Easter, or Easter Monday, open market. Here are the many tents in the square set up for the event. You can just see the tops. The piazza was bursting with local vendors selling everything, and we were anxious as a group to get started. I really wished I could have gotten my friend Topo Gigio home with me. He is one of my fondest childhood memories from when I was little watching the Ed Sullivan Show with my grandparents. But he was too big and too fragile for me to take the chance. So Topo Gigio, enjoy Italy. This shop is very famous in the area and stretched for 2 or 3 storefronts. It was filled with meats and cheeses and had a cheese cellar that didn't smell very good, but the cheese was delicious. I actually bought an olive wood risotto spoon here on the left. I saw a Rachel Ray show on the airplane flying over about risotto. She was in Tuscany, so of course I had to get the risotto spoon. This was just some vehicles in the street and some more of the fair and down the side streets. And I love doors, so coming soon will be a segment just about the doors in Italy. And then we went on to the Enoteca to taste wine and have a delicious lunch. They gave us a card where we could get as little as 1 ounce out of the machine and taste the wine. After leaving Greve, we then visited historic Tuscany estate where Chianti production is an art. Walking through the vineyards that have been tended by the same family for generations, you understand why Tuscans don't just make wine. They create something very special. This was a traditional winery, and we toured the barrel room before tasting, and then came up for a lovely, lovely taste. The interesting thing about wine in Italy is made without a lot of chemicals, and so you drink more than you think, but it doesn't produce the same after effects, so you're not too tipsy or hungover. That's kind of dangerous. The next day we went to Lucca, and that welcomed us with its stunning showcase of architecture and lots of buildings spanning centuries. It's the birthplace of Puccini, and we were reminded of him frequently. We did a walking tour around the town and then looked at some of the fun things. It was like traveling through time. Cobblestone streets, and every turn a cafe, and this dog riding on a bike in the rain with his raincoat. Our morning snack that day was at a local store, and it had really reinforced what we've been learning the whole trip. Tuscans don't just eat, they celebrate food, and a lot of it. And the architecture is everywhere that you look in Italy, no matter where you're at. It's always steeped in history, and that's something we're just not used to here in the U.S., where we're a young country and don't have these things. They were actually having their annual flower market in the Lucca Square. I love flowers, so picture taking wasn't too hard. Of course, lemon trees are a part of Tuscany, and there are many beautiful lemon trees everywhere you look. I came home and bought a couple to recreate a bit of Tuscany on my patio, so fingers crossed that I can keep them alive, and maybe I'll even get some lemons. These stunning ornamental gardens and grand arched ceilings are from the Palazzo Fanner. They provided a really great exploration as part of our tour in Lucca. There's centuries of beauty here, and you really understand why Tuscany has inspired artists, writers, and dreamers for so long. An interesting fact is the city hosts the Lucca Comics and Games Festival, one of the largest comic and gaming conventions each year in Europe. As we went into the palace, we saw this incredible carriage and this magnificent staircase. The Baroque Palazzo Mansi is a national museum that houses art and tapestry collections. These have witnessed the rise and fall of many empires, yet they remain as vibrant as ever. Unbeknownst to us, there was a small private piano concert, and we were able to enjoy some of the music while we had to stay out of sight. The next day, we went to one of the main features, which was a chance to go to a working farm and make our own dinner and pasta. This was set in the beautiful countryside of Monte Carlo, Italy. And this is the owner's son. He came to help out as he works outside of the farm. You can tell he's lifted that heavy pot many times. Some of these vegetables were picked right then for us to cut and add to our dinner table. And you can see them in bowls and our cutting board and our knife as we were ready to get to work. We also made our own pasta. And here's some more of our laborers. And here we are cutting, and the mistress of the farm with our tour guide showing us how to make tiramisu. Remember the lemons? Well, here's that, some tiramisu, and the delicious wine we had from the farm. The meal was really very good. And here's our entire group, along with our hosts, in a wonderful group photo of all of us. In addition to the farm cooking, the next day we went on to a culinary experience in the Tuscan countryside, and it was anything but optional for the true food lover. So not all of us went, but I did. It was in a lovely setting where we walked about the vineyard and our guide talked to us about the process. And then, of course, we had a lot of wine to drink. And we also ate the traditional dishes prepared with recipes passed down through generations. These wines paired with this food doesn't get any better than this. It was just wonderful. And during our visit, there was a DJ playing mostly American tunes. This couple danced and danced, which was so much fun. They also danced to disco, current. They probably danced for a good hour while we ate our dinner. I told the DJ I'd make him famous, along with this really adorable dog named Bear, who has an identical twin. They roamed around and they were fluffy and friendly, but we couldn't feed them. They were a very nice addition to this evening. So in my previous episode, I talked about Vinci and Leonardo da Vinci. But before we went there, we visited the Florence American Cemetery and Memorial located south of Florence. It honors American soldiers who died during the liberation of Italy in World War II and has a remembrance of over 4,400 soldiers who are buried there, along with 1,409 names on the wall of the missing. It was quite moving. Here's the wall that extended for quite a ways. Etched and engraved in the marble were all of the names. And the information regarding the monument. We were lucky to be able to stop there and see this. But later that afternoon, we headed back to Montecatini to visit a local bakery, Famiglia Desideri. Owner and baker Giacomo Desideri told us about how they had been there since the early 1900s. It was a very enjoyable time. And then we got to go back and make our own focaccia bread, kneading the dough that we would eat in just a short time later. This was my Ethel and Lucy moment, and my new friend Mark from New Zealand with our hairnets on, because you have to be safe in the kitchen. Our light lunch featured focaccia still warm from the oven, made with our help, and local cheeses that melted on the tongue, paper-thin prosciutto, and olive oil so pure it tasted like liquid gold. The dessert, being held by Giacomo, was outstanding, and we enjoyed that not only there, but throughout our time and visit as we brought some back with us. Then a small group of us on the following day took the train to Via Reggio. and wanted to visit a local coastal resort. It was about a 45-minute easy train ride from Montecatini. This is the largest and one of the oldest hotels in Via Reggio. It is not on the beach, but across a busy street and a pedestrian area. Seaside resorts are lined up one after the other, ready for the families to secure their spots in the sand. They all have like a little food window, and you can take out your food and drink. Each resort was dotted by colorful umbrellas, one right after another. This picture of the SOS lifeboat reminded me of a recent series called Disclaimer, which featured a resort just like this and a rescue boat just like this. Of course, churches in Italy are almost always beautiful and a prominent part of every town. Before we left, we had to have a cappuccino stop because in Italy, good coffee isn't just expected, it's essential. And it provided the perfect moment to reflect on our incredible journey as I joined my friends Penny and Mark from New Zealand, along with Kirby, who is not featured. That donut was delicious. Then the next day we headed off again to visit towns near the coast. We headed to a winery, lunch, and had more touring. As an avid cyclist, this was an unexpected joy, a bike race on a weekday. We didn't even mind a delay while we watched them speed by. Soon enough, we were at this very new winery, much more high-tech than the traditional ones, but some ode to the past. In a dark cave where we could not take pictures, they were playing sound for the wine barrels, but only a little each day because they don't want to disturb the fermentation. We drank wine, and it was okay, but not our favorite.
The wait is over. A brand new pharmacy just minutes from your front door is now open. Service is our top priority at Laguna Pharmacy. Enjoy free same-day delivery, low over-the-counter prices, and personalized attention, all with the same copay you're used to. Tired of waiting on hold? Our experienced pharmacists answer your calls right away. We are in-network with most Medicare plans and make the transfer process easy. Visit Laguna Pharmacy today for the exceptional care you deserve.
And then we were off to nearby Castanegno Carducci, a town high on the hills overlooking Tuscany to the east and the sea to the west. It is one of the most popular towns on the Etruscan coast. The Ligurian Sea is off in the distance from Carducci. Our stop not only offered splendid panoramic views, but a delicious lunch at a family-owned local restaurant with generous portions and warm hospitality. And it reminded us again why Italian meals are celebration. And remember, this tour was called Gourmet Tuscany, so we didn't expect anything less. In the square was this terracotta sculpture created in 2015, and it serves as a memorial to the resistance. The statue is called Liberi, which means free. The local liqueur served as our finale and provided the perfect sweet ending to our visit there. The views were simply breathtaking as we walked back to our bus, and I stopped to get not a selfie, but a real picture. We then took the journey further to Bolgheri, along cypress tree-lined Viale dei Cipressi, Cipressi meaning cypress, and it's one of the most beautiful drives, they say, in Italy. It's about, I think it was about 5K. These majestic trees are sentinels along the road, creating a natural cathedral that seemed to announce our arrival as we got to the gates of Bolgheri. We visited this tree, which is called the Oak of the Witches, a large ancient oak tree with a unique sprawling shape. It's also known as the Oak of Pinocchio, as it is believed to have inspired parts of the famous story. The tree is said to be over 600 years old, and it looks, you can't believe how big it is until you're standing by it. This church in Bolgheri had a shrine to the Pope, who had just passed away the week that we were actually there, which was very touching. But we're not done yet. Let's go on to our last part of the trip, Florence. Getting a large group together to travel in a tiny van filled with luggage was no easy feat, but off to Florence we went. The trip was about an hour, and we then were at our new home for the next several days, the Hotel Celai, or Celai. Located in Florence's historic center, it is a boutique hotel that's housed in a lovingly restored 19th century palace. The view of the city from the rooftop garden was amazing, and the hotel lobby was filled with several rooms, all beautifully decorated and very inviting. After settling in, though, we were off to the Mercato Centrale, and it didn't disappoint. Packed with people, the options for food were endless, as well as the options for wine. It was very busy there, as you can hear in my video, looking at these luscious sandwiches. And more wine. This wine spot was really lovely, and we enjoyed the rosé. But bright and early, like 6 a.m. the next morning, we were all headed to Cinque Terre, 5 villages strung together by a train system. For years, seeing this was on my bucket list, and it was wonderful to see it in person. The rocks and the sea were also beautiful, and we went to Monte Rosso, where we saw this statue of Neptune that was commissioned by some wealthy people in 1910. It is also known as Il Gigante, and it was giant. You'll see that they also had these seaside resorts in Monte Rosso and boats. We were able to ride a ferry from one village to another, and this was our view from the sea as we came into land at the dock. In one of the villages, there is a church from the 1500s. It was spectacular. And although we didn't visit, on the way back, we saw the mountains where the Carrara marble comes from. They are massive, and of course, it's still being mined today. And on another day, and more food in Florence, this was a very famous and busy sandwich shop with huge lines. It was amazing what they offered, how quickly they made the sandwiches, and how huge they were. This one was too big for me to hold with both hands, and I could only eat about a fourth of it. A little more walking around and seeing the Bialetti shop, which had a Dolce & Gabbana coffee maker. And more of the city of Florence. The significance of this is the scaffold and crane outside of the Uffizi. It has been there for 16 years. It's not being used, but because it cost over €500,000 to move it, they have not been able to do so. But no visit to Florence is complete without a visit to the Ponte Vecchio Bridge. This is looking at it and away from being on it. And then this is my video of around the area taken from outside of the Uffizi Museum. And just a few of me. I don't usually take that many of me because it's more important for you all to see the beautiful scenery. And this boar was supposedly you put a coin in his mouth and it went down and into a passageway, which apparently gives you better luck. I don't know. And then there were always a lot of street museums. We then went to the Pitti Palace and the Bubbly Gardens, 2 iconic attractions in Florence. They're both linked historically and physically. The Pitti Palace is a Renaissance palace and home to several museums, while the Bubbly Gardens sit directly behind it and are one of the earliest and most important examples of Italian garden design. You can see the view from at the top of one of the gardens was absolutely beautiful. With all of Florence below. In the museum, there was an Italian atelier show of one of the museums at the palace. So I just took a few pictures of the clothing, which was really spectacular, and then of some of the ceilings and some of the ornate displays. It could take days for me to show you every picture that I took. So I picked just a few things to illustrate just some of the magnificence of what we saw. The ceiling art, the statuary, just amazing. But the piece that everybody's interested in is Michelangelo's David, a masterpiece of Renaissance sculpture that depicts the biblical hero poised before his battle with Goliath. It symbolizes strength, courage, and a triumph over brute force. It is carved from a single block of Carrara marble, and it's 17 feet tall and weighs nearly 12,500 pounds. I did block out to make this G-rated. There were other statues there, all carved from marble, and many ornate gold and painted items, and famous pictures from famous artists. Again, more than I possibly could take and have in our show. The Uffizi Museum houses a vast and significant collection of art. It focuses on Italian Renaissance. They have displays of works from Botticelli, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, and Caravaggio, just to name a few. And of course, here's Botticelli's The Birth of Venus on the left. And of course, the Florence Duomo, formerly known as the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore. It is a monumental landmark in Florence and a symbol of the architecture. It's one of the world's largest churches, and its iconic dome, designed by Brunelleschi, remains the largest masonry dome ever constructed.
I don't know if you can hear me, but this is just what I came for. All week long, this is what I wanted to see.
So you can see I took a lot of pictures of it from a lot of different angles, just because I could not stop admiring the beauty and the artistry that goes into these buildings. And our final evening, we enjoyed our goodbyes, and it was time to say arrivederci. And here's our group, arrivederci and ciao ciao Florence. It was an amazing time, and I'm grateful to have been able to have gone there.
Home is more than a place. It's where you feel safe, supported, and truly yourself. At Nurse Next Door, we provide personalized in-home care, from companionship to 24/7 support, guided by our Happier Aging philosophy. We believe aging should be about rediscovering joy, purpose, and the freedom to do what you love on your terms. Locally owned and proudly serving your community. Call today and ask about your free care consultation.
Well, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed my trip to Italy, and maybe you'll go on one of your own. So thank you as always for watching Senior Travel Adventures. And remember, adventure doesn't retire, it rewires.